I don't see how, they wouldn't use it in their economy if they have this.
Exactly.
You see,
Yeah.
we see what they do in the industries. The same, the same equations of energy are
Yep.
being, yeah.
Exactly. If they had a fundamental energy breakthrough, I think they'd probably be investing a lot more in the AI data centers
Exactly.
right now, right?
Yeah. So, okay, let's go back just to your opinion about these things, because, okay, we excluded this anomaly as well, but going into, let's just attack this criticism that, Elon Musk said it very abruptly, which is, how come we never see it in any clear, 4K camera? Why is it always through a blurry radar? What's your answer to that?
Yeah. So, again, let's just reason through it, right? So there's a spectrum of camera technologies out there, from a cheap camera phone to a highly sophisticated synthetic aperture radar or Hubble-sized telescope pointed down at Earth, right? That can read the numbers on your cell phone from space, right? So there's a spectrum, right? And the vast majority of people, right, have access to, only so much, only the lowest quality ones. And within those low quality ones, the consumer versions of them, a large portion of those are iPhone cameras and whatnot, right? The best camera is the one you have. And what are those designed to do, right? They're designed to make your selfies look pretty, to make your sunsets look pretty. And so they insert AI to the images. They take high dynamic range images. They leave the shutter open for a period of time. They provide corrections to it, right? They're not designed to take, perfect, raw, unfiltered photos of objects, small objects at range, right? I don't have an answer for why over time people haven't captured some photos. I think an argument could be made that people have, and they've typically been dismissed. I mean, you have photos from the McMinnville case in Oregon where, I forget what day, it was 50s or 60s, I think it was. But I mean, they have a photo that has been tried to be debunked for decades and yet, still stands the test of time. And, you could probably point to any several dozens of various instances from the gimbal video to the McMinnville case and say, well, what about this one? What about this one, right? But that's the whole thing where people don't want to take the time to say, okay, I'm actually going to really consider this and investigate the circumstances and make an informed decision off of that. They see something, they say, well, that's fake. That looks like a bowl, or that's garbage, and just throw it away.
You said AI. I think we can exclude this as well because it's only the last couple of years which is available. But
so there is photos out there, but at the end of the day, people nowadays think that because everyone has a camera phone, therefore they can, take a perfect picture of something that is an unknown distance away. You can take a picture of the moon and see what it looks like, right? What about obviously the highly sophisticated stuff, the stuff that is designed and in space in order to track objects in the atmosphere or in orbit, right? So that would obviously be the holy grail, because it's that ultra high quality stuff that, has the most promise. And I think, based off of the statements of Senate and congressional members, that data does exist. And that I'm hopeful that we'll see some of that come out through the process that we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, seeing stuff from, the military systems, however, are designed for a purpose, right? And so what is being released? The low-hanging fruit, right? The AT FLIR and the infrared camera footage, where that's not classified anymore. It's old technology. And what's that designed to do? It's designed to target the ground, right? It's not designed to track aircraft in the sky, those systems. They're designed for me to figure out which window to put a bomb through. So to think that, you're going to be getting these high fidelity images of objects that might have propulsion mechanisms that prevent, optical signatures, such as having a plasma field around it, or
what I thought is
manipulating the environment in different ways. Right?
Yeah. So the only way that they could pop up is through a very sophisticated radar and stuff, which has the capability of seeing this.
And again, even
just if I can, you mentioned before that many people come to you, like in a brewery and all those things. Mm-hmm. They come and they just give you their own personal experiences and stuff that they've seen, and you say it happens a lot. So how do you sort? The scariest thing for me is, because I want it so much to be true, just from curiosity
Yeah.
thing. So just because of that, I don't trust my own mind to be able to sort,
Yeah.
the things. And how do you know it's not just muddying the water, just making you even less of qualified to see what is true and what is not?
Yeah, it's a fair question, and you say you want to believe, and I get it, and I think if we talk longer, I might convince you that maybe you don't want that to happen. Right? There's different sides to this, of
I'm
course,
open to
right?
that as well.
But
Hopefully we'll get to it. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I'm going to ask you to repeat the core question.
Yeah, because many
Lost
people
in the framing.
come to you and say that they want that they
Oh yeah.
have some
Okay, I'm
money.
back.
Yeah.
So, everyone has this inclination to immediately assess information when it comes in, right? It's subconscious. You almost can't help it. Someone tells you something and immediately it's like, that's good. That's bad information. You pull away from it or you lean into it. And whether it's my training in the Navy or just the necessity of this conversation, I've trained myself to avoid that instinct, right? To immediately not try to assess the information as good or bad. To just hear as much about it and assess the context and take it and put it in that filing cabinet in my head, right? And store it there and say, I don't know if this information is good or bad, but I know as much about that particular instance as I can.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just wait and see as I put more files into that filing cabinet, what are the connections between these that pop up?
Yeah, but people invented Star Wars. People can invent anything.
No, of course, right?
Yeah,
You
so-
can invent. So, but at the end of the day, with human intelligence, and that's exactly what this is. You either get to one or two conclusions that, you're finding useful signals that represent reality, or that you're finding some kind of indication of mass psychosis, right?
Yeah.
Of
Or is it just
shared
noise?
hallucination and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about noise. You could throw any individual case or subcase, but again, it's these signals that are kind of left, that second order data that comes in once you have the mass, right?
This is
So,
big data.
like, all right, if I keep hearing about certain kinematic effects, one thing I think, someone might come into this and say, all right, I'm going to pretend I saw a UFO, and, I say it flew in over the side and I watched it and then it zipped off like a bullet over here. Many cases, I would say almost 30 or 40%, the objects don't zip off. They just disappear right in front of the person's eyes. That wasn't a signal I was too aware of before I started hearing many of these cases, right? And hearing the same thing from fighter pilots and commercial pilots and special operators and farmers in their backyard, So are they all interested in UAP and have found some interesting thread and have all just lied about it, right? Or misinterpreted it or what have you the same way? Maybe, but what if I have 200 cases like that? What if I have 500, right?
Can you share some of them? Because just in any, in any way that you can. What is the most shocking thing that you have heard with your collecting this?
Well, I won't claim what I'm about to say is the most shocking in any sense. But I think it's a good example that kind of crosses different domains. So this was, I believe, in about 2022. It was a group of five troop transports with 5 Marines in each one, 25 soldiers in Afghanistan. And they were transiting from one forward operating base to another that was several hours away. And it was nighttime and they were doing their thing and they saw something in the sky. And what they saw is something that is often reported by pilots, often gets dismissed as Starlink. And what it was objects that seemed so high up they had to have been in orbit, that were bright and that were seemingly interacting with each other, almost as if you were watching a very high altitude orbital dogfight. Very sharp turns, going in and out. And there are some new visual